Hi, Carl here for ProVTV, and today we've come up to London to Embankment to do some filming with this. This is the Blackmagic designed Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, and I am really excited to finally get this into my hands and come out and do some filming with it. And I'm sure a lot of you are excited to see what the footage looks like, because this potentially is some of the best image quality that we've seen from a Blackmagic camera to date. It's got a lot of hype to live up to. It's a smaller sensor and a lower resolution than the Ursa Mini 4.6K, but it is a dual native ISO of 400 and 3200. So it'll be interesting to see the quality differences in normal daylight like this, but it's going to be really interesting to see just how much better it is once we start getting to some darker environments, some crowded market streets, dark little corridors where I need to bump the ISO up. I've chosen to keep this in as smaller, almost tourist style setup as possible, because after all, this is a pocket cinema camera and I want to see what it can do as Blackmagic designed it before starting to rig it out with a bigger battery, a big monitor on top, all that sort of stuff. So I've kept the setup really small and lightweight, no tripods, anything like that. Just relying on lenses with IS inside them. I've got 3 Lumix lenses with me, the 12 to 35, the 35 to 100, both of those are f2.8, and I've got the 8 to 18, which is f2.8 to f4. So they're really nice, small, lightweight lenses. They do have fly-by-wire focusing, which I'm not really looking forward to shooting with, but we'll see just how well this large touchscreen and focus peaking is gonna help me with that. But I'm really excited to get out there and start shooting. So we've come down to the market because there's so many lovely little textures here, really nice sort of bare light bulbs and cheeses, fish counters, that sort of thing. And because I've got a nice telephoto lens on, I can shoot through the market stalls, and every now and again, because there's a glass roof, a little patch of sunlight comes through and backlights people, which just looks beautiful. I hope it looks as good for you guys on the computer screens as it does on the back of the camera for me here. I'm using the Panasonic 35 to 100 f2.8, which is a really nice sort of lightweight lens. It does have fly-by-wire focusing though, and I am finding that a little bit difficult because of course really the autofocus on here is not good enough to use. I am manually focusing most of the time, so that's a bit fiddly sometimes, but I think I am getting focus. The peaking on the back is really helping out, and of course because it's so light, it makes it such an easy setup to shoot with. So I'm slowly getting used to where all the buttons are, and I'm finding I'm now working pretty quickly. I really like the quick access buttons on the top. I do wish though that there was more than one dial to control it, and I do wish the screen was able to be tilted. I also don't really understand why they keep putting auto aperture buttons on it. Like I haven't found that I've used that at all today, but it is very quick and easy to manually change the aperture. I don't really see why you need that button. The screen is really nice quality, it's brilliant. The touch screen though isn't very useful for this sort of shooting because you can't really reach it. Your hand is perfectly placed for all these buttons, but the screen is so big that you can only really touch this little corner. When you're on a tripod, that's going to be completely different though. But for this style of shooting, I'm really finding I'm only controlling it with these buttons here on this side. So So the menus really remind me of the Ursa Mini Pro. They're very simple, very straightforward, very easy to use. I mean, Blackmagic's user interface design is some of the best in the industry. I think it would be hard pressed to fault. And with the touchscreen, it all seems really easy. All the buttons are big, very easy to press on a touchscreen. It just makes a lot of sense. So I just wanted to jump in here now that I've had a chance to look at the footage back on my computer screen. I was very happy with a couple of things. Firstly, how much I managed to get in focus even with fly-by-wire lenses and working incredibly fast. As anyone who's shot on the tube knows, you really have to move very fast. There's no time to do anything on the tube to get shots like these. These are all shot really under the radar very, very quickly, and the peaking in the 5-inch screen really helped. Even with fly-by-wire lenses, I was managing to get all of my shots in focus, which is fantastic. I was also very pleased with the skin tones. I didn't have time to properly white balance things, so I was just chucking in and out of different white balance presets, and the skin tones looked fantastic in pretty much all different lighting conditions, and there were some really challenging lighting conditions both on the tube and here in the market stand. I was also quite impressed by the noise levels. This market stuff was shot at 3200. I kept my ND on because it wasn't quite dark enough in there to get to the ISO normally, but I wanted to push the camera to 3200 to see what the noise levels look like at that higher native ISO, and I was very pleased. There's definitely some noise, but this is one of the best cameras for high ISO work that I've seen from Blackmagic to date. Battery life has been workable but not fantastic. It obviously runs on LPE6 batteries, and I've been shooting for about 5 hours-ish, and I'm going through about one of these every single hour, which is okay. I was thinking it would be worse. I guess if you come from a video camera background, if you're used to FS7s, if you're used to C200s or the original Ursa Mini Pro with its big V-locks, then this is going to seem like really short battery life. If you're used to smaller little mirrorless cameras, particularly things like the A7 range, this is going to feel perfectly fine, and if anything, a little bit better. It's probably not quite as good as cameras like the EOS R or the GH5. Those are pretty good battery life for a small little hybrid stills camera like this. But overall, I was expecting it to be worse. I'm kind of happy with an hour from each battery life. Battery seems all right. An interesting point though is that I brought a ton of different sorts of batteries with me for this shoot. I was expecting battery life to be bad, so I swiped every single LP6 I could find around the office, whether they were official ones, whether they were sweat ones, whether they were just cheap little ones, which we happen to own ourselves personally from ages and ages ago. And those ones don't work. They don't even power the camera on. Swit ones are absolutely fine. The Canon ones are absolutely fine. Getting about an hour from each one of those, that seem to be working at about the same rate. But those little sort of brandless name ones aren't even turning the camera on. So if you own this, it's definitely worth investing in proper batteries from proper companies like Swit or Canon. So we've been filming with it for a good few hours now, and I've got to say I really am enjoying my time with the camera. I thought it would feel clumsier to use, if that makes sense. Right from day one, I've not really been a fan of the actual design and the way that the camera looks. I thought it would be large, oversized and clunky in your hands, and using it, I haven't found that at all actually. Sure, it is big, it's a lot bigger than the original Pocket Cinema camera, but it does feel quite nice in the hands when I've been using it with a small little lens like this. The 5-inch touchscreen on the back, I've been finding it does actually change a little bit how I shoot. I always find when I shoot with a larger monitor, like a 7-inch one, something like that, I tend to frame a little bit wider, and that always tends to make my work feel a little bit more cinematic than normal, if that makes sense. And I find I'm getting the same mental effect from this large 5-inch one on the back. It really is changing how I'm shooting compared to, say, the small little screens from an A7 or a GH5, something like that. Overall, I really like this. I can't wait to get back and actually have a look at the footage. Hopefully you guys have already been looking at lots of footage throughout the video. It's always the trouble with doing these kinds of videos. I can't see what it looks like yet till I get it home and get it on a computer. But from everything I've been seeing so far, it's certainly left a good impression. So let me know what you all think of the footage down in the comment section down below. And of course, this is just the first of many videos we're going to be making on the Pocket Cinema camera. So let me know all the things you want me to test down in the comment section. We've already had so many great requests, things like audio. We're definitely going to be doing a video on audio, things like putting it on gimbals and rigging it out, battery solutions, all the rest of it. So keep on leaving those down in the comment section down below, and we will look and see what we can make for you. And of course, if you want to order one for yourself, the links to the product pages are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.